This is the Exodia side. We're siding in against an Exodia deck. So you're going up against an Exodia deck. There's tons of cards you can use. Some stuff you already have main. Some stuff you can side in. The main thing is an Exodia deck, like an FTK or OTK variant of a Exodia deck, is obviously spell heavy. So anything that will slow down them playing multiple spells in one turn, or just stop all spells completely, that way you can get at them life points. So most of the spell cards are draw effects. The whole idea is to draw the pieces of Exodia, to draw half their deck or all their deck. Protection or Sanctuary will prevent that. So if you have Protection or Sanctuary, they can't draw outside of the draw phase. So none of those draw cards will work. So they won't be drawing anything. So Macrocosmos, Dimensional Fissure, Banisher Radiance, and Banisher of Light. Obviously, removing the pieces of Exodia is another way of beating the deck. Get rid of one of those pieces, they're more likely to lose. Unless they have some way of getting stuff out of play, back to the hand, all that other stuff. Just removing a piece of Exodia from play is what's necessary to beat the deck. You can play certain cards that can add, that will make them discard a piece, especially if you have Banisher and whatnot on the field, or any remove from play ability. Like you can have Soul Release or Kaiko the Ghost Destroyer on the field to banish it, or you have DD Crow, or you have Disappear. You see, there's a lot of cards that has to do with removing from play. You could do something as simple as like a Mind Crush. You can play something as simple as Card Destruction. You can use monsters that negate cards from the hands, like Spirit Reaper and Dong Zaluk. You could slow down their spell plays, playing a lot of spells in one turn by playing Notorious Rose Whip, or the Great Shogun Shien, or Medium of the Ice Barrier. These will restrict your opponent from playing one spell per turn, so that will slow down the whole playing 10-20 spells in a single turn trying to get all pieces of Exodia. They will have to get rid of the monster before they can do that, and usually they don't have monster hate. Usually it's just a whole bunch of draw cards, so they're more likely to rage quit once they see one of these on the field, and it's like, oh my god, I can't get rid of it, damn it. They'll probably just play like one day a piece and then end their turn and just hopefully draw something that they can use, maybe a monster they can kill, Notorious Rose Whip, or find some way of beating these two. If you have a spellcaster, like Kaiko for example, or Medium of the Ice Barrier, and you play Secret Village of the Spellcasters, that's another way you prevent them from playing spells. Because unless they summon a magical library, they won't be able to play spells, and there you go. They're not going to be able to draw anything, so there's not much they can do. If for some reason a piece of Exodia is on the field, you can Karma Cut it. You know what I mean? If a piece is in the graveyard, you can Soul Release it, you could Disappear it, you could DD Crow it. Especially if they pitched it and they plan to try to retrieve it, you could just chain DD Crow it so they can't retrieve it. Or you use Drag Down to the Grave. Grab a piece of Exodia, send it to the graveyard, and if you draw a DD Crow, then DD Crow it, you know what I mean? Or play your Soul Release, or you Disappear. You can use Morphin Drawer number 1, which works similar to like Card Destruction. You can also use Hand Destruction. Didn't add it here, but you can use Hand Destruction. He might be tempted to pitch the piece of Exodia to get a +2. He plans to try to get it back, but he'll get rid of it with like a DD Crow or whatnot. Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 8. Just by having him on the field, you can negate all his spells. So whenever he plays a spell, you just negate it, so he won't be able to do nothing. Curse of Darkness. He'll take 1,000 for every card he plays. So if he plays 8 spells, he loses, because this is damage, not payment. So he does lose by paying 8 spells. But yeah, there's tons of stuff you can do. Abyssal Detonator again. You could declare Spellcaster Dark Spellcaster, and more likely in their deck they don't have Dark Spellcasters. other than the pieces of Exodia. So if you have if you play Banisher or Dimensional Fissure onto the field and pick Abyssal Designator from their hand or their deck, they have to discard a Dark Spellcaster, which more likely is only the pieces of Exodia in the whole entire deck, while everything else is probably like dragons or something. Or if they are Spellcaster, you know, they're more likely not dark. You know, they could be a Veiler. That's a light spellcaster, not a dark spellcaster. So that's a way of getting rid of a piece of Exodia. Yes, there's a DD Designator. You know, if you saw him add a piece of Exodia to his hand and he has not yet got all 5 pieces in one, and he ends his turn, it's your turn. Since now you've seen one of the pieces, you know what the piece is. Now you can use DD Designator and declare the name, and they'll have to pitch it. And if you have Macrocosmos, DD Crow, whatever, whatnot, you know, any way of getting rid of the piece of Exodia from play, that's how you do it. That's how you get rid of it. And Force Requisition, you know, you discard, your opponent discards. You know, you can add you can combine Force Requisition with Morphing Jar or Drag Down to the Grave, because you discard any card, any effect. You know, you can combine it with Card Destruction, of course. So whatever you discard, he has to discard afterwards. If you have Macrocosmos and whatnot, or Dimensional Fissure, Banisher, Radiance, blah blah blah, he's gonna lose all the pieces, and that's everything there. Mind Crush, again, it's the same as DD Designator. You declare the name of a card, they have to discard it and all other copies. You know, to prevent them from using spells, which is what gets them the pieces of Exodia. Shockmaster, declare spells. Notorious Beast, you mill 2 to negate a spell. Legendary Shin, it only does its effect once, but if you do it right, you'll prevent your opponent from drawing more cards. They will let him draw more cards, or let him draw more cards. So you could potentially just stop him. It's not a guarantee way of stopping them from playing a whole bunch of spells at one turn, but if you can, you know, negate the right spell, you could potentially avoid losing to Exodia. Heraclinos, as long as you can discard, you can negate their spells. If you combine it with Force Requisition, he's gonna have to discard because you're discarding, which is great to combine these two, you know, so that way when you pitch, they pitch, and it becomes like a hand destruction effect, obviously. Same thing with Dark Paladin. You're discarding for Dark Paladin, he negates spells, so as long as you can discard, you can negate spells. And then with Force Requisition, you'll be able to negate him more cards. So the idea is just to keep the pieces of Exodia out of his hands, so he can't assemble all 5 pieces and win. This is Sighting In against Exodia.